Hi everyone, my name is Audrey and welcome to my channel. Today I'm giving you my June wrap up as well as my July TBR. The reason for that is, spoiler alert, I only read one book in June. A very messy month and chaotic month. So yeah, I decided to just join those two videos together because I don't see the point of making a video for one book read as a wrap up video. Anyways, so if you're not interested in the wrap up and you want to skip right ahead to the TBR, you may do so. Otherwise, I'm going to roll intro and my B roll of my wrap up bullet journal time lapse. So for the month of June, I gave myself a goal to read 8 books. I had a lot on my TBR that I wanted to get read. I started a lot of books, like a lot. I had all the best intentions in the world, but I ended up reading only one book, and that book was like a short one. Let's just be honest. If you don't know me, I am a full-time music teacher. I also work part-time mentoring night shifts at a hotel that I'm soon leaving. I only have 10 shifts left. But yeah, and I also have my own business and I do a lot. I'm a mom as well, and we deal with a lot in our family. These last 2 years have been particularly tough. And June is the last month for teaching for school. So it was it was a lot, and I had a lot going on at school because they are repainting the whole school, and we had to box and pack up everything up. It was a bit of a nightmare with musical instruments. So yeah, it was a lot. And then I'm also in the midst of a burnout because, as always, I'm working too hard. I'm a workaholic. So yeah, I don't know what else to say. So my reading hasn't been great. It's not that I didn't want to read. I'm not in a reading slump. That's not it at all. It's just that I am so tired and so exhausted that I fall asleep very, very quickly, and then I have a hard time getting back up. I used to be able to wake up very early every morning, so I was more productive because I'm usually not productive during the the evenings. But yeah, that didn't work anymore because I was burning out. Anyways, on that note, I did manage to read one book, so I guess that's a win. I was ahead of my Goodreads challenge, which is to read one book every week. So 52 books for the year. We are now mid-year, and I am 3 books behind. So I mean, it's not that bad. I can still catch up. I'm not too worried. Um, so far in the last 2 years, my Goodreads challenge haven't been much successful. I've never gotten to the point where I met my goal, but it's fine. So far, I feel like 3 books behind is not too bad compared to what it used to be the last 2 years. So anyways, I am participating as always in the Buzzwordathon hosted by Books and Lala, in which every month you have a buzzword and you just need to read as many books with that buzzword in the title. For the month of June, the buzzword was other, and for that prompt, I read The Girl on the Other Side by Nagabi. I think that's how you pronounce it. So this is a manga, and I had a hard time finding a book with other that I was interested in. There are some lists, and people do put up lists for the buzzwords and suggestions of books that can fit those prompts. And usually I find a lot of books that are already on my TBR that I can easily find on my reader. But when I found this one, I saw just the artwork that I find very, very pretty and very, I don't know if I can say it's actually pretty per se, but I was attracted to the artwork. I really did enjoy it, and it got me intrigued. And when I learned it was a manga, I was all in for it. And I'm so happy I picked it up. I feel like this is a very underhyped book. This books need to be read by more and more and more people, for sure. So on Goodreads, it says it's a fantasy manga. I feel like it's more of a dystopian than a fantasy, in my opinion. So there's this curse that is spreading, and if you are cursed, you are called an outsider. And when a village is cursed, is known to have outsiders. If you touch a cursed person, you become cursed yourself. So it's very, very easy to spread. And they are called outsiders. And outsiders are seen. The people who are not cursed try to flee. So you can have a full village up and go and leave to go elsewhere so that they don't become cursed or some themselves. We don't actually know exactly how that curse came to be. It just is, which I don't really mind. But this follows this young little girl, which I don't remember her name, who was abandoned by her village. So she's not cursed. And you have this cursed outsider, which she calls, I think, professor, because I think he was a professor, and he takes care of her. And you follow along that little journey. There's not that much action in the first volume. I think there's only 12, which I love. Like short manga series. I really love that. But yeah, the ending got me hooked, and I cannot wait to get to the second book. I loved the drawings and the artwork. I really, really enjoyed it. There's not that much dialogue as well. I think the premise is very interesting and unique. Yeah, I was happily surprised with this. Didn't have much expectations, but this really went beyond whatever expectation I had, and for that reason, I gave it a 5 stars. I also participate in the Magical Readathon, which is hosted by Book Roast, but there's usually 2 months where she hosts the Aurelium Readathon. So one in April and one in August. And then the rest of the month, you can do the side quest, if that makes sense. And you can just travel along every month. You have like one prompt to fulfill and continue on your journey. They're kind of like side quests. And for the month of June, if I'm not mistaken, the prompt was to read a book that was newly purchased. So, The Girl from the Other Side is definitely one of those books because I did order it specially for the Buzzwordathon. So that fit that prompt, and that's pretty much all I read. That's it. Let's move on to my July TBR.
You may think that I know too much, but no, it's never too much. Because when push comes to shove, girl, just trust I won't get sick of us. You my salty crush. I'm doing something different. Your name's been on my tongue. My cup's been looking fuller. You're picking apart my walls, and baby, let's settle up. Cause lately the world's been going crazy, and I gon' need somebody to talk. Saltine and ginger ale, that shit will never fail. I keep it tucked on my body cause I don't feel well. Girl, tell me something else. Saltine and ginger ale, that shit will never fail. And you may think that I know too much, but no, it's never too much. Because when push comes to shove, girl, just trust I won't get sick of us. Hold up, simmer. Comfort queen, my squeeze at night. Who opens up this package is too tight, ho, whoa. And know you got it like that. Bring it on back, cause you got it like that, ah, yeah. And know she got it like that. Sometimes desserts are best when last. Oh, your daddy gonna beat my ass. Yeah, baby. Oh, one, two, if I can get enough. Spill twice, never wipe it up. Off the brakes and let these walls. Sip fast if you're feeling numb. 10 spins to your own drum. You sighting with the sweetest cup. And you may think that I know too much, but no, it's never too much. Because when push comes to shove, girl, just trust I won't get sick of us.
Long hair silhouette, champagne, cigarettes. I try so hard to be something I'm not. So sure I'm distressed. Blame it on the internet. I try so hard to be something I'm not. I just hope that someone else can make me stop. 'Cause I think I'm turning around, but it's time to stop pretending. Call me out, I'll be overwhelmed. And I'm sorry for not speaking up. I never share my feelings, but I finally get to be myself. I headed west, pictures at the discotheque. I try so hard to be something you want, and it's a curse or a consequence of some last line of defense. I try so hard to be something you want. I just hope that someone else can make this stop. 'Cause I think I'm turning around. Oh, it's time to stop pretending. Call me out, I'll be overwhelmed. And I'm sorry for not speaking up. I never share my feelings, but I'll finally get to be
So hopefully for July, it's gonna be a much better reading month. I did make some progress in June into some of the books that I started, because I did start a lot of them. And these books are not going to be much new books, because I've been rolling them from month to month since I think the last 2, 3 months, since May at least. And I just need some closure and need to finish these books to move on to other books, if that makes sense. So that's where I'm at. I feel like this is gonna be a little bit repetitive from other TBRs. I'm sorry about that, but that's just how we're gonna roll with it. For this month, since I'm done with school, I am going to give myself another go at trying to read 8 books this month. I did manage to read 6 books in May, if I'm not mistaken. So, since I'm not teaching during the month, I am focusing a lot on my business, but still, I should be able to read much more than I've been reading last month. So I'm not too worried about that. We're gonna try to get to that 8 books mark. And I still have an average page count of 60 pages per day that I wish to read. Last month, obviously, I haven't read much. I think my average was 13-ish pages. So yeah, it was below the 20 pages per day, which was like my worst reading month for sure. At least the book I read was really good, but still. And yeah, so for the month of July, the buzzword is to read a book with a weather word in the title. And for that prompt, I'm going to pick up A Psalm of Storm and Silence. Yes, I know I am currently reading A Song of Wraiths and Ruin, which is also on my TBR. I started my reread of this one. I think I'm only 50-ish, 60 pages in. It is a reread. I read the first book. It is a duology. So the first book is a reread, but I never read the second book. I'm really excited to finish this duology because one of my goals for this year is to finish series. So this is definitely going to help me get to that point. I really loved A Song of Wraiths and Ruin. I think the first time I read it, I rated it a 4.25 stars. So obviously I'm going to reread this one before I get to that one, because I'm scared I'm gonna miss a lot of details. It's been a while since I read it, but yeah, I'm excited to get back into it and finally have some closure. For the magical readathon, the prompt this month is to read a book in the dark. So I can basically read any book in the dark, which is something that I do a lot because I try to wake up early in the morning to try and read. And when I mean early, I mean like 4 o'clock in the morning. So it is still dark at that time. And I do read quite a bit. So yeah, at least the last 2, 3 days, I've been reading quite a lot during the night. I do read on my reader though when it's night, but reading is reading. It still counts. So yeah, that one should be easy to fulfill. And for the rest of the books on my TBR, they are pretty much books that I'm going to roll over. I'm not going into details of these books because I've explained them and summarized them quite a bit in the last few TBRs. So if you want to know more about them, you can go and check out my June TBR and my May TBR because most of them are in those videos. So next book I have on my list is The Dragon's Promise by Elizabeth Lim. This is the second book of the duology, the Six Crimson Cranes duology. I cannot wait to finish this book. I've heard not so great things of the second one though. So far, lots of action, and I did enjoy the first 22 pages I read of this. Is that it? Yeah, first 22 pages, which is the first 2 chapters of the book. So far, I enjoyed it. Lots of action in just 2 chapters. Can't wait to see where it's gonna go. Hopefully, I won't be too disappointed, but don't have too high expectations, but still cannot wait to finish this. The next book is The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes by Susan Collins, which is the prequel to the Hunger Games trilogy. All throughout the year, I've been rereading that trilogy. It is one of my favorite books of all time. It's what got me back into reading, if you didn't know that. So yeah, I'm excited to get to this one. This one as well. And again, my expectations are pretty low with this book because I've heard very, very meh reviews about it, and things that were said are things that I can see myself criticizing in a book. So yeah, we'll see how it goes, but I'm not predicting more than 3 stars for that one, but I still want some closure and finish that book anyways. And the next one on my list is The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet by Becky Chambers. This one has been on my TBRs for many months now. It was for one of the buzzword, which was an emotion. I just keep rolling it over from month to month. And at the end of the year, I do count my buzzwords. Even if I didn't read it in the right month, I still count it as a win if I read it throughout the whole year, if that makes sense. So yeah, I did make a lot of progress through this one though in June, even if I didn't finish it. So I'm at page 186, so around 46%, if I'm not mistaken, not quite halfway through, but so far really enjoying it. It is very, very character based. It takes a while to get where we're going and what the mission is about, but there's just so much to unpack in here and so much about metaphors, about our own society and our own views on the world and on race and on humanity. And it wants to be so peaceful and it wants to be the best it could be as a character. And I love it. I love that. It really feels like a character study or a view on the world essay, if that makes sense. It's not. It's a novel still. You do have a plot in here, but at some point, it does kind of feel like a character study, which I don't mind at all, and I really am enjoying. Um, cannot wait where it's gonna. Cannot wait to see where it's gonna go, how our characters are going to evolve. The next one is Wicked Like a Wildfire by Lana Popovich. This is a book I've had on my TBR for like forever. When I started discovering BookTube and I discovered a whole lot of books. It's an older YA book. So far, I read the first chapter, and yeah, I'm on page 12, and I was not impressed with the first chapter. We'll see. It can change. Doesn't mean that the first chapter is representative of the whole book, of how I'm going to enjoy the whole book. I don't want to set myself in that mind space. But so far, it's not an awesome start. I'm a little bit confused. It's a magical realism YA book, but it's still confusing. I mean, again, it's only one chapter, so I hopefully it will get better. But it's very, very, very flowery. I usually don't mind flowery because one of my favorite books of all time is Strange the Dreamer, which is very flowery. I love The Night Circus, which is also very flowery. But this one, I don't know, it's just the writing doesn't flow well. I've had a hard time reading through the first chapter, so we'll see how it goes. I do have the second book. It is a duology. I want to finish both of those books anyways, and we'll see how it goes. But yeah. Then I do want to make some progress in A Brief History of Seven Killings by Marlon James. This is a book I picked up for the Blackathon in February, and I didn't realize how huge this book was and how very difficult it is to read Marlon James writing, because it is very raw and very violent and brutal. And yeah, I don't think there's a way to describe it. It does use a lot of Jamaican vernacular as well, which I'm not used to reading. So this one, I am not going to finish it for sure this month. I do want to just make some progress through it and read a tiny bit of it, a little bit not every day, but a little bit at a time, so that I have time to fully digest it and fully absorb what Marlon James is doing with this book. The next one is Parce que tu es une femme merveilleuse, which is in French for Because You Are a Wonderful Woman. This is a nonfiction book that was written by my neighbor, and she asked me to read it and review it, so I will be reviewing it. It is published independently. So yeah, this is not the type of book that I typically pick up. I don't usually read self-help books, but I'm still going to read this one nonetheless. It is pretty short. It's under 200 pages, and it looks like it's going to be an easy read to get through. There's a lot of quotes, so like it's pretty much like half pages, so it shouldn't be too hard to go through. So yeah. Then I also have a Celeste Ng book that I do need to finish ASAP, and I do need to try to finish and find that secret TBR footage of the books I've read before, because I need that footage ASAP, because I need to finish that secret TBR vlog, which has been going on for like a year, at least a year and a half. It's been going on for way too long, but I still want to do it. I still want to make that vlog. So yeah, we'll see how that goes. The Celeste Ink book is part of that vlog. So that is why I'm not giving you the title, but yeah, I need to get through that book. I am starting it all over again because it's been way too long since I first started it, and I was only 50 pages in anyways, so I'm going to just start that one all over again. Next, I have 3 books on my reader. So the first one is Kaikei by Vaishnavi Patel. So this is a retelling of an Indian mythology, if I'm not mistaken. I've been making a lot of progress in that book, and I am so hooked into it. I love it. I know it's not for everyone. I get that, but I am enjoying it a lot. So this one was like 850-ish pages on my reader because it's on my e-reader. But I'm making a lot of progress and I'm almost done with it. So I can't wait to talk more about my thoughts on that book. But yeah, really enjoying that one so far. The next one I have on my list is Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow by Gabrielle Zavine. This book was on my TBR last month and on in May. And it's about video games, and I've heard mixed things about that one. I read, I think, the first chapter, and that's pretty much it, so I'm not very far into it, but nonetheless I'm still excited to get into it. I think that this one is a bit different than the genres that I typically read, that I am currently reading, so it'll be a fresh read, something different to read in between a big fantasy book. And the last book on my TBR is Hidden Figures by Margaret Lee Shetterly. This is a nonfiction that follows these women who made a huge difference in the NASA in the 60s. And yes, the movie was based on this, off of this book. I think that, which is a movie that I loved. I think that the book gives way more than what the movie gave us, which I'm finding very interesting. So far, I am enjoying the chapters that I read. I am eager to learn more about these women, what contribution they gave to NASA. Really interesting read, and yeah, I can't wait to finish that one as well. So that's it. That's enough. There's more than 8 books here, but as usual, I like to have many options. But yeah, let me know if you've read any of these books. What did you think of them? I would love to know, what are your plans for July? Like, comment, subscribe if you wish. Hit the notification bell if you want to be notified every time I upload a new video, and I will see you soon in the next one.